Welcome to your Visionary podcast. This podcast is specifically for you and your vision. Get ready to grow. Let's go.
Life is in the detour, so every detour we experience, that's an opportunity to learn something.
You sell yourself. Doesn't matter if you're selling ice in Alaska or if you're selling sugarcane in Haiti. They're going to buy from you.
And all of this knowledge is in captivity when it should be out in the world. He couldn't believe that I had 25 years, but the way I carried myself, you'd have thought I had 25 days left.
We try to be something so great, and we forget that we're just being humans. We're human beings, and it's like we're enough right here.
Hey, welcome to your Visionary podcast. I'm your host, Visionary Ceej, and I'm going to be your pilot as we embark on this journey to positivity, right? This journey to create our vision and to find our purpose. And, this podcast is for students, right? This podcast is to help students find their passion, create their vision in life. And I'm a college student currently, and I created this podcast just because I saw that my peers, they lack purpose, they lack direction, and so I try to figure out a way to help them all together, and this is the way that I'm doing that. And so throughout this show, I'm going to bring on a bunch of entrepreneurs, spiritual teachers, speakers, entertainers, just people who are questioning in life, and my goal is that they can come on and inspire you all, and even me, to realize that if they can do it, we can too. And so just some background on me. Like I said, I'm a college student. I'm currently a senior at Kennesaw State. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, but I wasn't always who I was today. I had a lot of events that really directed my path and sculpted the purpose in me that I live by every single day. And so my freshman year of college, on my birthday, I threw a party, right? A super lit party, and it got shut down by the police. I ended up getting arrested during the party, and that night I had to spend the night in jail. So on my 19th birthday, I was in jail, and I knew that wasn't where I wanted to be. I knew that I shouldn't have been there. And I didn't like that feeling, And so when I got out, I decided I had to change my mindset, and I just had to do something new, try something different because I didn't like where I was. And so I did that, but, I started to creep down that same lane, the same negative lane. And my sophomore year, ended up getting into it with the police again. They ended up raiding my apartment, but how it happened was so dramatic. They knocked on my door. Banged on my door, and I went to go see who it was, looked through the peephole, and it looked like the SWAT team. And so I went back to my room. I tried to hide anything I'd get in trouble for. And while I was hiding stuff, they ended up busting in my room. They had their guns up. They told me to freeze. And I was just surprised. I was shocked, kind of traumatized. And that was during the time a lot of African-American males were getting shot by the police. And so I knew that if I would have made the wrong move, I could have been shot. I could have been killed. And so just going through that experience, it really just opened up my eyes to realize that, I had to be more intentional about how I live, because I didn't like that. I didn't like being in that position. And so after that incident happened, I ended up moving to Atlanta. My school was in Kennesaw, Georgia. And so I moved to Atlanta. I moved in with my best friends from high school, and they were all attendees of Georgia State. And so they were just moving at a different pace. They were all business minded. And I just began to hang around those people, and it changed my mindset. It forced me to just think about entrepreneurship, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the idea of making your own money, not having a boss, just finding your own way, learning from all of your experiences. And so that next year, I ended up taking the break from school. I just want to put my all towards entrepreneurship. I ate, slept, breathed entrepreneurship. Man, of course, I failed so many times, but I ended up building a successful business online, and it was well for me. I made the most money I ever made in my life, but in college, they didn't teach me how to budget, so I ended up spending it all. I traveled a lot. I knew that I wanted to travel because that's what all the successful people do, and so I was like, hey, I need to travel too, right? And so during that time, I went to 15 countries. I went to Paris, Amsterdam, Madrid, Africa, Shanghai, Dominican Republic, Mexico, all type of places, right? And just really traveling. I didn't want to be in America. I felt like it was stressful. Didn't want to be here, and so I just traveled a lot. Every weekend I was trying to go somewhere new. But I loved that feeling. I fell in love with it, just being a stranger in a strange land. It was a lot that I learned from it, right? And so after I was done traveling, I ended up going back to school. But I went back to school to major in entrepreneurship. My school is the first school in Georgia to offer entrepreneurship as a major. And so that's what I'm majoring in. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have went back to school. But I went back to school, and I knew that I needed a mentor. Like my whole mindset in back to school was like, okay, I need to find me a mentor, find me someone who's successful as an entrepreneur. And it's crazy because the first day of classes, my first entrepreneurship class, we had an entrepreneur come and talk to the class about what he does and just his lifestyle and stuff. And it sounded great. And so after class, I went up to him and I was just like, hey, you know, I love what you're doing. I'm an entrepreneur myself. You know, can you be my mentor? Tell me where to go. Tell me where not to go. He was like, oh, yeah, sure, man. And then he gave me his card. And the next day he told me he'll be my mentor for the rest of my life. And so that's been a blessing for me because it's just opened up so many doors for me. You know, that's all it took, just having the courage to ask him. And so that's what I did. Right. And so through that experience, I really just grew as a person, grew as an entrepreneur. I started to find out what my passion was, you know, what my purpose was on this earth. And so it led me to just write. You know, I love writing, and I ended up publishing 2 books. This is one right here, another one back here, and I have a 3rd one coming out soon. And the purpose with the books is just to help people find happiness in their struggle. You know, I often write about things that I'm dealing with, things that I'm struggling with. You know, I find answers through my writing. And so I know that anybody who reads it will hopefully relate to it. And, you know, that's my goal with it all. Right. And so I hope that gives you a little background on who I am and why I'm doing this. Specifically, a little more detail. My last trip that I went on was to Senegal, West Africa. Right. And I saw their living conditions. You know, it was terrible compared to the United States. Babies were being bathed outside. You know, it was super hot. Some people didn't even have houses. They were just hustling from day to night, you know, barely even slept. But everybody was still just in good spirits, you know, still happy, still laughing, still playing. And so that made me think about it like, wow, if people here living like this can be so happy, then why is anybody in America ever sad, you know, ever envious, right? So I just came back with the purpose of helping people find happiness in their struggle. And so that brought me to where I am today. Right? And so now that you know about me, I want to tell you about what the show is going to be about. Right? And so this show is about helping you. You know, who are you? The listeners. Help the listeners create a clear vision of exactly where you want to be 5 years from now. You know, visionary vision. I believe that visions equal long-term success. And so if you have a vision of where you want your life to be 5 years from now, you can kind of like live backwards. And so you know where your end goal is. Now you just have to work up to that, if that makes sense. And this is going to be a journey, you know, because although I have a vision for my life, I'm not there yet, you know, but I'm growing more and more every day through relationships that I build and just the information that I learn, right? And so I just want to share the journey with you all and plant seeds in your mind that'll grow into fruitful ideas. And I hope my transparency will build trust with y'all. And anybody who listens, and you'll see that life is a constant journey, but every day is another opportunity to get better, right? And so who needs to listen? This show is for students, whether you're a student in grade school or college, or you're just a student of life. You know, if you have the mindset of a student and you're at the point of your life where you're trying to learn as much as you can, then this podcast is for you, right? And what can you expect in the future? Each episode, I'll be interviewing someone successful, you know, entrepreneur, spiritual teachers, musicians, just people who are crushing it in life. You know, we'll be hearing their stories and just learning about the lessons that they've learned to get them to where they are in life. And so I have an amazing lineup prepared for you guys. I'm super excited, and I know you all are going to enjoy it. I know you all are going to learn from it, right? And that's the goal of it. The goal is to learn. The goal is to get better. And the goal is just to grow your mindset, you know, grow mentally. All right, and so this first episode is just going to be a solo episode, and I want to talk about why visionaries make great entrepreneurs, because I do consider myself a visionary. And according to the dictionary, a visionary is someone who lives unpractically, you know, idealistically, right? Just living based on what's there for you in the future, what you want to be there for you in the future, right? Because usually what you believe is what you get. You know, the power of our minds. It's incredible, you know. And so the first point I want to get to is that visionaries take action even when they're not living the dream, right? And that's what I'm doing with this podcast. I'm not living what the dream I want to live, but I'm still taking action just to make a difference in the world, you know, take action to help others. And I feel like that's super important because a lot of people, they get down on themselves when they're in a situation that they don't like, you know. It makes them not want to work hard. They think that when they get something, when they get like a shiny object, it'll make them want to go harder. But no, you have to go hard when you don't have anything, right? So that when you do have something, your mind is already made up that you're gonna grind, day in, day out. And so, the second quote I want to get into is visionaries are aware of the fact that mentors shorten the learning curve, and they seek help when necessary, and they're willing to quiet their ego and take risk in the short term so that they will be benefited in the long run. Right? And so it's two things I want to hit on right here. The fact that mentors shorten the learning curve, I can speak on that. I'm a witness to that because they do. Having people who are doing what you want to do in the future, they've been through a lot of experiences, some that you're going through and some that you will go through. So just having that insight, on what not to do and what to do, it'll really help you. It'll cause you to not make some of the mistakes that you would if you don't have a mentor. Right, but in order to get a mentor, you kind of really have to quiet your ego, right? Because your ego will make you feel like, they're just human, they're not anybody special. But it's like if they're ahead of you in life, then what's the point of not asking for help because of your ego? So just learning how to quiet that ego and just do what you know is going to be beneficial for you. Or even if you don't know, just taking that risk. You never know what happens, right? But everything happens for a reason. So go look for a mentor, and I'll be having people on this show who might even need mentees, right? And so this will be a perfect place for you to find a mentor as well. You hear somebody that has an interesting story that you think you can relate to. They'll all be giving out their contact information, and so you can just reach out to them. You never know what'll happen, right? It's just about taking that step and doing what is good for you. And the third point I want to hit on is visionaries look for innovative ways to solve problems. They see an issue as an opportunity to create. Right, and so the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who solves problems for people at profit or for pay. And so if you focus your attention on solving problems and figure out how you can get paid from it, you're an entrepreneur. Right, and as a visionary, you think of innovative ways to solve a problem. Right, you don't just do what you see everyone else doing. You try to think of a new and improved way to do it, right? Based on your knowledge and based on your research that you do, and that makes a visionary, right? And so number 4, visionaries develop a purpose that's bigger than themselves, which is very, very key. Because my favorite quote in the world is, "If you struggle to make a difference, you won't have to struggle to make $1. If you struggle to make a difference, you won't have to struggle to make $1." And to me, that just means that you have to be intentional about your work. You have to know your why, and your why must be bigger than yourself, right? Because if your why is just to make money, then, you'll never be completely satisfied because you'll never reach a cap when it comes to making money. There's always more money to be made, right? But you have to just have a purpose. You have to know that if you're helping people, you'll be better off. You help 1 million people, you'll make $1 million. Right? And so that's very important, developing a purpose that's bigger than yourselves. And I know developing a purpose is hard because it's hard for me, right? And the first question that I asked my interviewees is I asked them, like, what's your purpose statement? And how did you come up with that? And so I think that's just cool just to, see what people's purposes are, because we might just hear somebody's purpose and it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that too. And then boom, we can kind of take on their purpose statement, just sculpt it into our own, which is awesome. And so just being intentional about your purpose and making sure that it's something bigger than yourself, right? What's that for? And let's see, number 5 is just anybody can be a visionary with the right influence, right? And so a goal of this podcast is to influence you all to create a clear vision that makes you happy, right? Because we'll be hearing all different types of stories from all different types of people, and I'm sure that whoever's listening, you'll see somebody, you'll hear from somebody who looks like you, right? And so that's very important because I know for me doing this podcast, like I love listening to podcasts. It's helped me grow mentally, but I've never seen anybody that looks like me really doing it. And so it's like, yeah, of course, I was just thinking like, yeah, of course you can do it, but can somebody like me do it, right? And so it brought me to just do it myself, really. And so, I just hope that you all are influenced by this, and I hope you all are encouraged to self-educate, right? Because another quote that I live by is that formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune, right? No matter if you're in school or not, you have to be willing to self-educate yourself, because school won't give you all the tools that you need to make it in life. I realized that when I figured out I didn't know how to budget. School didn't teach me that, but it's just like I had to self-educate myself. Even entrepreneurship, they could teach me some things, but most of the things I had to learn from myself, learn from trial and error, just learn from experiencing. All right, and that's what it's about. And so there are five ways that why visionaries make great entrepreneurs. That is our first episode. And our second episode, I'll be interviewing my mentor, Mike Russell. It's going to be super fun. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. And so all of our episodes are going to be on YouTube as well. And so if you want to watch the video version, it will be on YouTube. Just search Your Visionary Podcast. And you can also go to my website, visionaryceej.com. And that's visionaryceej.com. You can buy my books. I do have some merchandise. I have these positive affirmation bracelets, 18 karat gold bracelets, and each one has a positive quote on it. Just go to the site, shop around. I have some stories on there, some blogs, pictures from my trips, all type of stuff. But we're just building a community here, community that tries to promote positivity in the world, just trying to be a positive light in the world. And I can't wait for you guys to join on this journey with me. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to hear the next episode. There it is, guys. See you guys next time. Visionary Podcast, Visionary CJ, signing out.